Boom, we are live and welcome to Tokyo Tonight. I am Hikosaemon. This is a weekly show talking about the latest news and stuff going on in Japan. Very glad to see you all here tonight, and indeed even the people who are viewing on mobile. I guess there was a problem last night. We did the show, the 2.5 Oyajis show on this channel from a live hangout. This is a different setup to that. This is being done by a Wirecast broadcast. Different way of streaming, and for some reason this seems to work and the other doesn't. YouTube's always got little bugs and things. I hope this one will get fixed soon. I'm just checking the lag at the moment on the start. I started exactly on the time that the clock finished, but that means that usually with about a 40-second delay. There we go. Boom. Just now. So that's the lag. But I was on time. I swear I was on time. I was actually, I was planning to do a bunch of stuff to prepare for the show, including setting up the track that I had set up, talking about the new series that I'm currently editing, called Japan Business Time, which I want to talk about with Rochelle Kopp, and I was going to do a little bit of a blog and a summary about that. But like last night, I started watching a really crappy movie, although it's better than the one I watched last night. The movie I watched last night was Divergent, and it was terrible. It was really bad. I was like punching myself in the face for pretty much the entire movie. Yeah, fortunately with my face it doesn't actually do much extra damage, so it's good. Let's make that a little bit white. At the moment as well, I'm using what's it called, U-Flux or something like that. It's the thing which makes it cuts out all the blue light. As a result, everything looks super red on the screen at the moment. But anyway, now that I've paused the video, let me put this back and make sure I line up the comments so I can see all you guys and say hello to you guys. And same drill, I've got a track queued up, which I'm going to play at the end of this. Thank you, Alchemator, for the like there. Very much appreciate that. Lots of news, some interesting topics to talk about. And yes, at the end of it all, well, some news, some announcements, and so on. The comments look like they are aligned, which they are. That is at the top, that is at the bottom, everything is good. Well, first of all, I'm going to say hello to you guys because that's what I like to do. This is live, it's great to have all the people. And you know what, even if you're a lurker, just come and say hello every now and then, because I do recognize the names of the people that I know, including Kazukawa, who I noticed in the comments on some recent episodes, and I discovered that this guy has a channel. He just restarted making videos again. And they're good videos. So, if you want to find another source of good Japan videos from a guy who's just getting back into it, but making good videos, go check out Kazukawa. Let me go up the top and see who's here. We got Ben Duncan, yo, and yes, you land on January 9th. I noticed that, and looking forward to seeing you here in Japan, man. I'm a fellow member of the Tokyo, it is the Tokyo Digital Crew that I ad hoc put together from people who make tunes and put them on SoundCloud and Creative Commons licenses for other people to use, which is what myself and Nonbirishito, who is also in the comments, Chitomo Wakaran, and Foghard also in the comments here. I mean, the whole gang is here, and they've been making some really awesome music this week, by the way, including this guy, Ben Duncan. It's good to see you, Kang and Kodos. Great to see you. 4 hours ago, anyway. Interesting point there as well, and I kind of agree about being able to play music in the background while this is happening. Oh, huge shout out, by the way, to Fox Morris, who is a regular contributor to Photoshops that I use as my thumbnail. Outdid himself. I mean, yeah, I would vote for that guy. And maybe there's something there. Maybe I do actually sometimes wonder, if I could fix the hair situation, would I? I don't know. I'm kind of. It's really nice and convenient. Hey, Brad Wombo, thank you. Oh, was that? Thank you for liking the start of the stream. Should I fix it? I don't know. I mean, in a way, it's kind of cool being like this because I can wear any headpiece that I want, including that one. I would definitely vote for that guy over the guy that it is based upon. Much better looking. I think I'll just leave it there. Why not? Great job. Outdid himself again, Fox Morris. Thank you very much. You are awesome. And honestly, if you give me something to put up, I'll put it up. I'll do something myself otherwise. But I don't. The Photoshops I don't do. I just do. Like Instagrams with the title. But one of the pros. But there's a few people who make them here. So just don't forget. Anytime you feel inspired, let me know. Kang and Kodos, anyway, yes, I wish we could play music. If I could put my music up during the wait, that would be awesome. In fact, I was hanging out with some Google people this week. got some kind of inside information on, well, some stuff which I'm going to be talking about later in this show, although I'll keep it to what I'm allowed to talk about. But there are some really, the Google people, they're always doing cool stuff. They've got a focus and they've got priorities on the topics that they want to kind of look after us for. But yes, it's going to be lots of cool stuff coming up. And maybe when they're done with that, I will ask for, like, if I can make elevator music to play during the countdown for this, because you have 4 hours, I can just give you a loop for 4 hours of elevator music. I think that would be cool. So Kang and Kodos, Sean Bro, great to see you join us. B, great to see you and glad that you're not missing it this time indeed. Sausimang 28172, I know the girl from Ipanema. Classic track, love the track, and indeed classic elevator. Razo Gul, let the games begin, they have begun. Nonbidito, another member of the Tokyo Digital crew, also put up some great tracks this week. In fact, convinced me to up my game in a way that I'm going to do on the show tonight, although I'm not going to quite do all the things that you did. I mean, that was like too awesome. Your video this week, go and check out Nonbidito's video of him on the Chaos Later, because his skills, his kung fu is stronger than mine at the moment, and that's something I want to correct. But awesome, man. Kazukawa, indeed, welcome. Go sub to the guy, go check out his videos, because he makes good videos. The Dutch guy, a hairpiece like that would indeed be something I should look into it. Nippon Culture Quest, great to see that you dropped by. And if you had a name, it would be Dennis. If it had a name, it would be Dennis. It's Monty Python, right? Okay, there's one other subject. My friend from Turkey there, Sadiq, is asking, it looks like Quran, and I thought it was. It says Korban, but I think the bottom part is obscured, which makes... We'll get to it. He'll see what I'm talking about very soon. But there's a photo about why Japan has so little crime, and it's not because they have booths in front of train stations called Quran. No, it's definitely Korban. If you're watching that, Sadiq. And welcome again. I appreciate your contributions. But yeah, so we'll get to that. The Dutch guy, great to see you. Ukrainian, yes. I do have a fondness for things Ukraine. Oh, you mean Donald Trump? Oh, of course he does too, doesn't he? Well, hell, I've been near Ukraine. My ancestors were near the border of Ukraine. I know I had ancestors on the other side as well. So yeah, hey, Ukraine. Nothing wrong with Ukraine, although Crimea, which is a bit controversial at the moment. What else we got here? Mr. Cordy Chip. So I made a bad comment about mobile users yesterday. I don't recall exactly what it was, other than the fact I know some of you are having trouble, and I was kind of like, well, there's nothing I could do about it, which I feel helpless. I wish I could fix it for you guys. I couldn't, and I might have said something careless. I don't remember. I'm kind of curious what I said. I guess I should look back, but what it appears, those issues aren't there tonight, so yay us, we got it working. Although it wasn't us, it was Google that made it bad and Google that made it good. Which makes me feel like I'm talking about religion, which isn't healthy to be talking about with Google. But anyway, everything is working at the moment. So, and I apologize if I offended mobile users. I watch stuff on mobile, and I suffer with everybody else. I wish I could broadcast this from mobile. I've said that a million times now. What else we got here? Fogheart, another member of the Tokyo Digital crew, another awesome music maker, impressive skills, this guy, and he's started using actually the app which I want to get into, iMachine 2, and been posting tracks with that, which I think are awesome. Yes, great to see you. Toru Sato, great to see you. Rene Hoffman, you made it indeed. And indeed, mobile devices seem to be working. DRRB, it is an awesome toupee, and that's the good thing about this. I can have any hair that I want, technically, so long as it's not actually just my own. Good luck with that editing, by the way. Globby, great to see you. Haven't seen you commenting for a while. Bradley Ford, great to see you. I think I've actually got one of your comments on the list for the subjects, which I'm going to be announcing very soon for the Japan Business Time. Kantensai, konbanwa, great to see you. Ready Helpman, boom, we are going. That's right, we are going. KNS TV, great to see you guys always, and thank you for joining. And I am right on time, believe it or not. Noun 5, great to see you. Another regular, Benjamin Harris. Crimson Blade 5, that's a name I don't recognize so well, although, I think I've seen it in the last couple of episodes, now that I can think of it. But Crimson Blade 5, great to see you, thank you for joining. Narangi, great to see you, dude, and very good meeting you. When Naranagi was in Japan, I actually met him for lunch in Yokohama. And I had a good time chatting and so on. Good dude. Also, by the way, I got to meet Dan Scusser this week. Not so much and more through Twitter and so on as well, not so more than YouTube. But another good guy, actually, real interesting guy, good to talk to. He just started living in Japan, and I love actually doing that at the moment. Yeah, now in 5, if you're using Flux, I'm convinced actually they should even have Flux. I think for phones and so on. So I'm sure actually, like sitting in bed at night reading mobile phone with all that blue light's probably part of what's messing up my sleep. Although the fact is I shouldn't be looking at the mobile phone in the first place. Kamado, great to see you, dude. And indeed, they're shouting out NCQ there. Jonas BE, good to see you made it back in time. Ronnie in Japan, awesome to see you. Brainium, Shubas from Panama, great to see you back. Buenos noches here, buenos dias, I guess where you are. James O'Hara, awesome to see. He did a live from a bus. How did he do a live from a bus? He must have figured out a way. Did I really say death to all mobile users? No, did I say that? Did I say that? I couldn't have said that. Well, anyway, it's working at the moment. I don't know about that. Apparently, Schaumbro, indeed, that is also what I have heard, that Brussels is on mega shutdown, and hopefully for a short time, hopefully they catch the guys. Another interesting thing there, actually, which did I put in the topics? I hope so. There was, yeah, but anyway, Sunny-san, Sanai, 皆さん何を飲んでる? 何を飲んでる indeed. You know what, I was having some, tonight I've had a bit of a, I don't know, I'm a bit tired today, catching up on some sleep. I actually had some reporting time for the first time in a while. I had some left over. It's been a busy week. By the way, this stuff isn't good for you, and don't drink it. Reporting time, sponsor of the Japan rugby team. It's made of industrial waste. It's terrible. Although, if you look at the ingredients, it actually says it's got nicotine in it on the back, which really alarmed me. But it's actually not nicotine. It's actually nicotine acid extract, which is apparently the Japanese term for niacin, back from a time when nicotine wasn't so stigmatized. But it's very alarming to everybody who first looks at the ingredients and sees that it says it's got nicotine in it. I digress. And most up-to-date comments we've got here, we've got Shubas, we got James O'Hara, got Martin Coral Granheim. Yes, you did just make it indeed. Jason's also Sumo channel. Big news in Sumo, of course, this week with the death of Sumo Association Chairman Kitanomi, former great Yokozuna. And indeed today, very rare, Hakuho didn't win, and Haruma Fuji won the tournament today in Fukuoka. So big news happening there. And if you want to find out more about the Sumo stuff, that is your guy there, Japan's Jason's All Sumo channel. And good to see you all, indeed. Doing okay for time. That's 10 minutes in. I guess we should get into the topics. I guess the first thing I want to talk about is Japan business time. It is currently in editing. This might actually screw up my stream if I try to open up Premiere because it's kind of heavy. But I kind of need it because I didn't make notes ahead of time about what the channels what the episodes are going to be. So let me just see here. I'm opening it up. That's why that is all black at the moment. And at the moment, just for an idea of what it looks like, so with Rochelle Cock, we went to the YouTube space. We recorded an hour and a half of awesome materials. We have 8 episodes, which I have now basically trimmed and aligned with time. And let me try doing this so I can show you guys a little bit of a sneak preview. It is still definitely in editing, and we'll need to go through a few things. I am also summoning some help on various parts of this. In fact, I might even publicly, there's 2 things actually. So one, yeah, this is really going heavy on the memory. I might not be able to show you guys this. I might have to shut this down actually. But let me just go in here, and it is not responding, so I've got to shut it down. Okay, Foghart, thank you for the like. Well, the topics that I've got for the thing are anyway. Episode 1 will be from El Camino, who asks how to do Rochelle's job. Episode 2 is going to be from Fillmore Hart, which is going to be on the topic of Gaijin versus Gaijin, and this is all in a business context. Episode 3 is going to be from Isabella 1680 on what happens in Japan when shit goes down. When shit happens in Japan, how do people react? Topic number 4 is from Robert Ryan. It's going to be on how do Japanese react when more efficient foreigners show up in their workplaces, which is an interesting topic. Episode 5 is going to be from Glenora, 1974, to talk about death from overwork and use of the banishment room in the office, which is another fantastic topic that we did a great episode talking about together. Episode 6 is from Felix, 787, which is how to get Japanese more involved in discussions. Another great topic, actually. That's something that both Rochelle Kopp and I spent a lot of time on. Episode 7 is from Bradford, how to break the rice paper ceiling, which is a term that Rochelle herself coined for the promotion barrier for foreigners in Japan. And the final episode, I think, is my own one, because it just kept coming up as a theme throughout the series, which is on dealing with passive aggression from Japanese, and what's with all that passive aggression. That is the series. Now I am worried that I won't be able to shut this down because it is chewing up memory. So I think I might have to pull out the heavy artillery to shut this down. Give me a second here. And let's do this the old Navy way. Damn, that uses a lot of memory and process. Boom. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully the video stream was not damaged by all the CPU use I was just giving to be running Adobe there, but I needed it to see that. This is why I was going to do a blog ahead of time, but I wasn't prepared enough. I'm sorry. But anyway, Raymundo Ultra, that is the second thing that they do. But yes. Anyway, I mean, Shubus, that's nice of you to say, but no, we definitely need more threads. Let me turn off the task manager window. We are back and we are functional. So it's going to be really, really awesome. There's one thing. I shot the whole thing on the sofas, the same red sofa as before with Rochelle, except we were in the green room, which means I have complete freedom for the background that we will be using for the recording and the editing with Rochelle for the series of Japan Business Time is what we're calling it. So I've got a couple of ideas. One is to have a disco floor the whole time, flashing and changing floor patterns just below our feet, because the floors are slightly different color to the top part. For the background, I'm just thinking, well, simple works best with a green screen, but at the same time, something like a kind of a city skyline. I am actually I am asking for some help on this, but if there's anyone out there who would like to create a green screen floor or background for the series of Rochelle and I talking on the sofas about business stuff again, feel free to tweet me, message me, give me suggestions. And if you guys, I know a lot of you guys are very creative and very good at this stuff. I'm going to be editing. I'm going to spend another week editing this. One thing is I really want to get some of the titles together. That's another thing I'm going to explain a little bit later. As a result, though, I'm going to take some time on this. So if any of you guys want to contribute that, I will definitely appreciate that, and of course I'll give you a credit for doing it. So anyway, Wandering Jim, by the way, good morning to you. Good evening here, but good morning to you. Englandese, Derbyshire, where beer is breakfast. I'm glad to hear that. Yes, running Japan, I put a disco floor under us because I can. It's a green screen. Is that inappropriate for a business guide thing? I don't know. Do the show while biking. Yeah, that would get too distracting though, I think, if we had a video background, but I thought about that as well, actually. So, into the topics. That's I think announcements. There is one thing. Okay. So actually, the first thing I wanted to talk about. We just talked about the Brussels thing, Brussels being on shutdown. There's an article here by someone, this person Robert Evans from Cracked Magazine, who apparently read every edition ever of ISIS's magazine, which is I think called Dabik or Dabir or Dabik or something like that. And it was interesting in that, and by the way, crime, I'm going to be very subtle with the floor. It's going to be like every 2 minutes it's going to change design. Although, you know what, I might go crazy with it because I'm disco. I should explain this as well. Don't let me forget to explain this. I got this for my birthday, and this is awesome, but I will come back to this. This dude who read every episode of ISIS's magazine, apparently they have a glossy magazine. They're very good at this propaganda stuff, obviously. And just reading the guy, to summarize the summary of the guy who read like every one of their magazines, the things that were really most interesting about this article for me, it's kind of eye-opening just to get into the mentality of these people who, have been indoctrinated in this group and come back into Europe. And the kind of the big takeaways from this were, Englandese, I will come back to that. That is another good topic there, Yummy Japan, but I won't talk about yummy while I'm talking about ISIS, because they don't really go together. They should have called themselves ice cream. I think that would have been much more appealing. But the whole point is that they don't want to be called ice cream. In fact, apparently they don't even mind being called dash. The basic summary of the reader of, like every single one, and he gives a really, really kind of enlightened look that you can get an idea of what is in this thing without needing to actually go and read it, which I'm not interested in doing. There have been like the Westboro Baptist Church, these really dicks basically who go around petitioning like the funerals of soldiers and all this sort of stuff, basically trying to be as antisocial as possible, for the reason that they want to bring about Judgment Day and Armageddon. There's one thing, if you're familiar with, I'm vaguely familiar. I mean, I was raised in the Church of England, and my dad took it very seriously. He was a convert, and he was in the army as well. And there was this thing about, Syria is the location of the War of Armageddon. In fact, specifically northern Syria, and this is in the Christian Bible as well as, they say the Middle East, but, specifically it's that area actually where they have occupied. And for them, at least in their ideology, this is very deliberate. They are trying to be the biggest dicks possible in order to provoke all the superpowers of the world, France, America, Russia. They want them all to come with soldiers on the ground to come and attack them. And what they believe is that when they all come to Raqqa to try to invade them in Syria, that will be the Battle of Armageddon, and God will come out and wipe out all the other countries and rescue ISIS. And they want to provoke that. So the point is that they are looking for the airstrikes. The airstrikes are not so much retaliation, they're the whole objective of this whole thing, which kind of puts you in a bit of a spot, because of course not retaliating is obviously kind of out of the question. They put you in a position that you have to. Good evening, Dan. I was just talking about meeting you just earlier. It was very good to meet you this week, sir. Hope you're well. Slake Manson, by the way, nice to say good morning to you in North Carolina, and good evening here in Tokyo. So it's kind of this thing, their whole thing is that they are complete dicks. I mean, by religious ideology. And there's another thing about the whole kind of worship of death thing, and that they don't kind of dress up as much. It's not normal sort of propaganda. It's slick, and it's obviously persuasive to a lot of people. The way that they recruit, the way that they sort of, appeal, the way that they sort of talk about hypocrisy and so on was, But that's kind of the big takeaway for me, is that, these are not people who are... I always had an image that these were people who were kind of utopians in a way, trying to create this caliphate and try to create this country, and that, they were just looking for everyone to leave them alone and create this new idealized, kind of another version of Saudi Arabia, I guess, in northern Iraq and Syria. No, they are actually looking to provoke everybody to come and fight against them, because they think that will bring about the Battle of Armageddon. And damn, one, what a load of crap, but how many people are going to die in that purpose? Oh, and okay, so someone, Lucas, I don't know exactly where that is. Well, maybe it's their version of Revelation or whatever, but they believe that specifically that's where the big thing is going to be, and God's going to turn all the other foreign armies into pillars of salt, which hasn't happened in a long time, so that would be kind of, spectacular if that happened, but that is what they are aiming for. I didn't realize that about them. And again, it kind of explains why, they're not fighting in defense at all. This is another thing, again, the whole idea that they're fighting for the sake of their families getting bombed in Syria. No, they're fighting specifically to provoke us to go there and fight against them. And they're getting their wish. And, it's going to be like another one. Frankly, it just shows that they're an apocalyptic cult. And when you've got people who are willing to strap bombs to themselves, what can you do against that? I find it fascinating watching the Vice coverage of, the groups fighting against them, and this whole thing in Belgium as well. There's nothing you can do except what they're doing, which is shutting down the city. And you can't be too soft on them, which isn't to say, well, I'm going to talk about the other stuff a bit later on, about whether you treat other Muslims or refugees the same way as these people, to which the answer is absolutely, of course not. But with these people themselves, pretty tough in Belgium at the moment, as it's been tough in France, but damn, that's what all that you can do, right? Anyway, that's not Japan, but I found this really, really kind of just fascinating. This is another insight into this, which, even still, it doesn't make any sense to me just on a level that I can internalize, but okay, it becomes easier to understand when you just think of them as like a Westboro Baptist Church, just dicks, so anyway, that was interesting. On more positive news about Japan, Japan has seen a record number. This is like repetitive news. This is not the same news being repeated over and over. This is actually now, Japan had a goal of reaching 15 million tourists a year. Year on year, ending in October, Japan is now over 16 million. So another record again, which is a testament, I think, to the fact that there's another article I've gotten here from Rocket News, someone saying what Japan can do to attract more foreign tourists. I think the government's actually been doing a lot of those things. Oh, and awesome, Timiko L has joined, another Kiwi, good to see you, kia ora. Which to all the Spanish people, if you say kia ora it's the same as in New Zealand saying hello in Maori, kia ora. Funny thing, once my Spanish teacher asked my class kia ora es, and we're like, kia ora es buenos dias in New Zealand, and she was very confused, and we were very confused for about 5 minutes. Sad story here, and this is actually one of the topics that we're talking about I think it's from Phil Mohar, the one about banishment room and death from overwork in Japan. Well, there's two things with this actually. So one is that this is a case of, you could say koroshi, it's a suicide based on a telling off at work. We had a long debate on Twitter this week involving Rochelle Kopp, Fukumimi. Fukumimi's kind of, he's very smart, he's also very contrarian. Like, I kind of, whenever he messages me back on Twitter on something, usually he's like, basically pulling me apart, and he's good at it, so I kind of know I'm about to get my ass kicked. And he kind of got into the debate about this, that I was expressing the view, which I've seen, that there seems to be an increasing inability in people coming out of colleges nowadays to accept the sort of criticism that at least I accepted as being normal when I came up. And he pointed out, it's great that kids are standing up to unreasonable criticism and bullying and bullshit from bosses, just because I put up with it, why should they have to? And true, I put up with some shit that shouldn't have been put up with, but at the same time, stuff like, I don't have any time for a new hire at a law firm, for example, who's in tears or upset that their spelling has been fixed, or that their grammar is incorrect, or even, frankly, that just what they were writing was changed for the style of the partner, and it was different to them. And for me, that's not hazing, that's like normal sort of criticism, but I see people getting really emotional and having kind of breakdowns over this, that maybe I'm, now that I'm 40, maybe I'm just remembering things wrong, but I don't remember having a nervous breakdown. I remember, of course, feeling a bit like, damn, you feel bad and you want to do better, but it strikes me as a lot of people nowadays, it's like they're coming through college and they've never had their spelling fixed, and they've never been given the sort of criticism, like about work or whatever. They don't know how to process it. It's like they've been too sheltered. I think, and I sound old even saying that, because I know that every generation says that about the last, and at the same time, maybe I don't know exactly the specific how bad the bullying was in this case, but what happened in this particular case here is, this is a 19-year-old. Where is he from? It always says there, Shiashi Haifu Arubaito. So he just had a part-time job handing out like pieces of paper, maybe avoiding the gaijins, as would often happen. And so basically, apparently, so this is in Miyazaki in Kyushu. So his parents are seeking basically. So they're suing the piece of paper, the whole handing out company, for power harassment leading to the suicide. Apparently, basically, it was just one time he was given a verbal telling off from the boss of the company. Well, in any case, he was basically just told off once, and he went and wrote out a will and committed suicide. And that is sad. It's terrible for the parents. The commentary there is, even if it was rough, like having it just happen one time, but the fact that he was just told off at a part-time job handing out banners, he was told off once in his first ever part-time job, and he went and wrote out a will and committed suicide. And it's kind of people saying, kids are just, too weak nowadays. What's wrong with them? And, people don't seem to be able to handle having people be angry at them. I'm sure it's not a simple case here, and it's terrible that this kid died, but it's part of a discussion that we had. I'm interested, what do you guys think? I mean, are people less able to process criticism nowadays? Because that's a super extreme case, and I'm not talking about that, but I've had a long debate this week about this sort of topic. that, part of among the culture shifts, we've talked about this whole idea of safe spaces and this whole idea of censoring of trigger words and microaggressions and all this sort of stuff. And at the same time, though, I'm seeing the products of this education system in this environment that they really aren't able to process or cope with criticism, which makes me think, have they been too sheltered, or are we just assholes? And as my generation, maybe I have to accept that, but again, I don't understand how it's supposed to function, and again, how they can come through. Maybe this is a result of the monster parents in schools making, teachers afraid to tell off their students, which, results in these people go up through college. Maybe it's the internet, maybe it's the internet mob mentality, which causes these kind of social justice mob groups, which were happening in Yale and stuff like that. But the output is that these people are coming into the workplace with the rest of society, and they're completely unequipped and unable to cope sometimes. Not always. In fact, and maybe this is a small minority, because now that I think about it, most of the young people I've met from this generation are, perfectly normal, well-adjusted people. But I wonder, how does a guy get to this point that he gets told off once at a crappy minimum wage, part-time job, and he goes out and commits suicide right away? I mean, again, I don't know how bad the telling off was, but damn, So anyway, sad story. This was interesting. This caught my attention. This is basically, was this on Nippon.com? Okay, Nippon.com is a conservative think tank. It's actually the translator, the editor who runs it is a good guy, Durf. He's got a good sense of humor, and he's a bit balanced, but he's certainly not, generally speaking, the Foreign Press Association in Japan is very, they take the side of the Japanese left on most of these issues, which includes sympathy for the protesters in Okinawa. The Japanese conservative right supports the government and America in the position of Okinawa, and so this is a think tank which is published it. Kind of a response by someone from Robert D. Eldridge, who apparently is linked with the U.S. forces in Okinawa, and talks about the dangers of media bias in Okinawa, which is to say that these protests against the bases there have gone on kind of like crazy, and they're very vociferous. They're very angry. They've tried to block off the entrance to Camp Schwab and some of the where this base relocation construction is happening at the moment. And there is a frequent complaining from the central government, from the LDP, and indeed from the U.S. military that the main newspapers, I think there are two of them in Okinawa. One is the Ryukyu Shimpo, and the other one is the Okinawa Times. And this guy points out that the U.S. military doesn't really get a break from the media down there, because even when they have a good news story, like for example they had a case of a person from the James O'Hara. That is funny. This is why I keep the comments flying on the side while I blab away, because you guys actually do contribute. I'm sorry, that is funny. Focus. So in Okinawa, anyway, so there's a case where a service person, rescued an Okinawan local person. They're having a big press conference about it, and no one from any of the local media showed up. And they're like, "Why not? We have a good news story." It's like they only want to cover the bad news. Every time the U.S. military does something bad, they cover it, but when they do something good, they don't. And this media bias is dangerous because it's endangering the public. It's shaping public opinion on the bases, which is negatively affecting the presence there. And as a result, it is endangering, of course, but what the tone of this article comes down to, yes, it endangers national security and regional security and all that stuff, but at the same time, it just comes down to it's not fair. There's kind of like it's not fair. He's almost pleading like being victimized by the bias, very left-wing biased, anti-American Okinawan media. And yeah, okay, so there's media bias in Okinawa. Well, funny. I mean, at the same time as when you complain about them not covering your feel-good stories, which I know there are there every now and then, and of course it's always good to have as much positive and negative information put together as possible. I think that there is a robust responsible reporting. The author themselves has to acknowledge where some of this hostility comes from, and let's face it, the hostility from a lot of people in Okinawa comes from several facts. It comes from the fact that the U.S. forces there killed 300,000 people in Okinawa. Like 1 in 5 people in Okinawa were killed during the U.S. invasion. The fact that the U.S. then occupied Okinawa, ruled it basically as a dictatorship for until 1975, so for 30 years. that they confiscated a quarter of the land on the main island, which they still haven't returned to the private owners. So they still actually own, in a state of confiscation, the private land of a lot of people. Not to mention the cases like, for example, the rape of, what was she, a 12-year-old girl by 3 Marines in 1995, and other things that just have this way of kind of creating a bias situation. Indeed, the whole base relocation was actually linked to that rape incident, among a couple of other things. People not feeling safe because of a helicopter accident that happened not long after that, which was a really badly timed accident. Now, I'm not saying this means that the Okinawa media is justified being dicks towards the U.S. military, but at the same time, the U.S. military pleading that they are the victims of, biased Okinawan local newspapers, to me is a little bit fresh as well. And frankly, you're not going to win anybody over, at least anyone who knows about the situation. There's not going to be won over by this. I think you should appeal more to reason rather than saying that frankly, the same as what the LDP is saying, which is that the Okinawa Times and the Ryukyu Shimpo are the bullies in this situation. They clearly are left-wing papers, and it's very frustrating for the U.S. government and the LDP that their view on politics is not focus is not properly shown in the Okinawan media. But damn, you gotta kind of, I think, be a bit more balanced with that. So I found it interesting. I found the criticisms interesting, but at the same time, I kind of thought, geez, if you're U.S. military, geez, toughen up. Maybe they're part of these generation. Maybe the author's a millennial. I don't know. Maybe they just can't take the criticism. I was just talking about that. Maybe they've got that problem. I'm out of focus. Come on, get into focus, camera. Why is it not focused? There we go. Okay, that's better. That's better. These Microsoft webcams. Honestly, I wish I could just use my iPhone for this. Here we go. What else? Why launch a history war? So this has been interesting. I've been following through my good friend Steve Miller from Asia News Weekly podcast. The number one. I mean, he really is like kicking even Voice of America's ass at the moment. Who I do my weekly What's Up Asia show with. He's been posting some articles on the news over in Korea at the moment about the history textbook situation, which is that the government over there, while complaining loudly that some obscure 1 or 2 Japanese textbooks have, a kind of a jingoistic, patriotic view of World War II history and the treatment of Okinawa at the same time. In Okinawa, in Korea, the president's just announced that she thinks that the textbooks there are a bit too lefty, and the government is going to be nationalizing history textbook creation, and will decide what the history everyone is going to learn is going to be, which was the case for a long time under the military dictatorship anyway, and she's going back to those days. The speculation is that it is because she wants people to be nicer about her dad, who was indeed a military dictator and a member of the Japanese military as well, and very, very friendly toward Japan. She's gone to a lot of lengths to prove that she's not. But it's kind of funny when you see the reactions to this and the criticisms. This is one from a Korean newspaper. There's another one in the Japan Times, and the speculation what will happen, and the speculation is 2 things. One, it will result in history textbooks that are not as critical of the right-wing military dictatorships, including that of her father, and that make the conservatives look bad. The second one that they say, and this is just because they just want to beat up on the president, is that she'll go soft on Japan, as if she hasn't already been like the harshest president on Japan probably ever. Frankly, I challenge you to find anyone other than maybe President Ri, for example, who's been tougher on Japan. I mean, Ri actually shot at Japanese people a lot, around Takeshima Island. But so it's kind of funny. There's this whole thing, and how when it's clear, even within Korea, that history is so political, and that your political beliefs are so linked to your interpretation of history, and that there's controversy over different interpretations of history within Korea. To the point that they're having, like government imposition of history, and that everyone is saying, well, that's political. And yet at the same time, this is what Korea is demanding of Japan. They're demanding kind of ownership of Japan's history textbooks. And it makes me think that there's no way to settle history issues with Korea. It's impossible, because for them, unlike Japan, and frankly in Japan, history they keep it well out of politics. It comes a little bit in and out, and Abe brings it in. But, this gives me a little bit of despair. I really hope that these things can be resolved. But looking at all the drama happening at the moment about history textbooks in Korea, I worry that maybe it can't be fixed. So this is a BuzzFeed thing, although it's kind of interesting. In fact, let me see if I can open this in. Let's open this in Safari, because it comes out a bit weird in the article there. So 18 things that Japan has that the rest of the world needs. Let's have a look, see what BuzzFeed says. Machines that pour beers for you like this, so you never have to wait for beer at a bar. Well, Japan has very efficient beer pouring machines, so that's pretty. Although you still have to wait in bars. Cuts of sandwiches. I don't really think about that very much, but why not? You can buy shirts and underpants at 7-Eleven stores. In my younger days, those things definitely came in handy sometimes. Thousands of 7-Elevens have toilets. I mean, I don't even think about this. Do people not use convenience stores for toilets? Although at the same time, I haven't really had to use toilets there very often. The oshibori that you can wipe your hands before a meal, well, again, yeah, it's kind of weird to me now not having those. Vending machines that serve hot and cold drinks. Yeah, I kind of wonder why this is only in Japan. That is true. Those are awesome. Vending machine can come with defibrillator or emergency equipment as standard. I don't know if that's standard, but you do see those machines everywhere. Bike racks that any bike can lock onto. Yep. Or at the same time, everyone doesn't have like those racing bikes over here. Underground gates that close only if you don't tap your card on the reader first. So yeah, I think they let you go through super fast, which is pretty cool. What else we got here? Rail payment cards you can use at McDonald's. That's right. In fact, I love Suica, and I love that you can use it to pay for lots of things. So that is good. That's also pretty common, I think, with Oyster cards in the UK. McDonald's delivers to your work and your home. I would assume that they have that in America. They don't have that in America. That's kind of interesting. Hundreds of TV shows consisting of people making dinner and comments about people watching these people making dinner. I don't see that as being good at all. I find that boring, but okay, whatever gets you guys going, if you find that a thrill. Queues for ATMs that look like this. Is that a good thing? It means that it's orderly and people don't look over your shoulder. Well, I guess I've never thought about it, but maybe they are good. Indeed, this is kind of cool, the fact that train seats can be switched so that you can have a little box of seats facing each other. That is cool when you get them, although it's not on every train everywhere. Common in rural trains. Lots of lockers, yep. You're not allowed to store corpses in them. That's a shame, but them's the breaks. Toilets that open up I'm sure it's about to open up when you enter the room, indeed, and that the toilets are like the best thing about Japan, so I agree with that. And a train I've been on that train. That's in Kyushu. That is in Mount Aso, or near that. A train that is covered in cartoon dogs and features a character at the bullpen in a library. Yes, I've ridden on that train, and that train is awesome, and that is needed, although indeed adults were not allowed into the bullpen. But that was pretty cool. So I guess things that maybe the world does need these things. I take them for granted here. That's why Japan is awesome. In Japan, so you know how they use like little anagrams for numbers to remember phone numbers and stuff like that? In Japan, you can actually do the same thing. And it's kind of funny, a teacher, a 40-year-old female teacher in a school in, where was it? Kanagawa Prefecture, Fujisawa-shi. She basically gave this teaching method to kids, saying, so the numbers, 1, ichi, you say I, ni, ni. For 3, rather than san, they say mi, like mitsu, so you can say mi. 4, 4, you say yo. 5, go, sometimes say go or ko, you can say either one. 6, roku, you say ro. 7, nana, say na. 8, which is also yatsu, you can say ya. And 9 is ku, ku, you just say ku. And ju, what do they say for ju? I don't know if they say anything for Jew. It's not, I guess they say 0 or whatever. So anyway, this teacher was teaching kids how to remember the pronunciation of these numbers, and so she said 18782 37564, which is great, except it's missing 9, but it covers almost all the numbers. The only thing is that it reads as so 1 I 8 ya, 7 na, 8 ya, and 2 is tsu. So it's tsu actually, so futatsu, but you can read tsu. So yanayatsu, people that I hate, mi na koroshi, Yana yatsu minna koroshi. Kill everyone that you hate. Yes, Azuki Island, this is embarrassing news. This is a teacher who obviously needs some counseling, but I find it very memorable and easy. I find this actually quite easy to remember. Yana yatsu minna koroshi. It's terrible. This teacher was given a reprimand, quite rightly, but at the same time, it makes it very easy to remember. Hey, Megan, I'm sorry you have to go and focus on your video, but at the same time, thank you for coming on and watching. Have fun. Amber, good to see you, by the way. Indeed, Yanayatsu. I think this is kind of brilliant. Yes, Azuki Island, it's kind of embarrassing, but I find this very easy to remember. I'm probably going to use it sometime. It's something, it's common in... there is actually an expression, a phrase you can use, that of 3 words that use all different letters that you can use for like coded calls. John fucks Mary. If you spell it out, every letter in that is different, so it means that you can use it for if you want to make a call, for example, and you want to, well, anyway, if you look it up, you'll understand that as well. So this is I thought that was kind of helpful. It's terrible, and the teacher was rightly reprimanded. You shouldn't be teaching kids that. You should kill everyone that you dislike. But it's a memorable mnemonic. So there you go. It's a Japanese joke. Hey, Fen, good to see you. This is so funny because I agree with this. A survey showed that most Japanese employees don't like Western-style work socials, and I've kind of become like this as well. So what do they like? This is R25, a local magazine. What is not to like? They don't like the fact that you could be standing by yourself alone. Yeah, it's difficult to approach people with having a good time. Although at the same time, it's just awkward with work people sometimes. It's hard to eat while drinking. Yeah, I've never figured that out. How are you supposed to drink and eat and stand and talk to people? It gets weird. You get drunker, or at least you feel more stressed out about getting drunk around people that you don't want to be drunk around. For example, you can't drink as much as you'd like to. That's not really a problem for me, but yes, you never get to eat your fill. Well, that's good for diet purposes. Your feet start to hurt because you have to stand up. Those are all kind of lame reasons, but yes, indeed, Japanese companies very rarely. It's not anagrams. Sorry, John fucks Mary. It's actually used for, well, in sports games. If you want to make a call and you have like it could be A, B, or C, like for a play, you can make the call and say Jet, and Jet is from John, which means A. Or you can say, it's very handy for sports. So if someone needs to play sports and you want to make secret calls, if you say Tokyo is there's no T in that, so that doesn't work. That was a terrible choice. I should have thought of something else. So if you say Manila is Mary, so that's option C. Anyway, I used to use that a lot actually. But anyway, so yeah, in my experience, a lot of Japanese companies don't do social like drinks, Friday drinks and stuff like a lot of Australian and Western companies seem to do. And I find it weird now because I haven't done it for a long time. Another thing, just again, I'm really hoping that the Comfort Woman thing gets wrapped up this year. But there is a Korean university professor who's actually very active in Japan as well, and she's actually given a very nuanced sort of look at the different experiences of Korean comfort women in the Japanese Empire, including some which say that which go along with the accounts of the survivors that they were all coerced and googled. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm reading comments and I am talking at the same time. That were raped and forced into prostitution, and at the same time there were some people who worked or were pimped or were sold into it by their parents. And this is what the counterpoint that Japan often makes. This is a South Korean history professor making the point that there are accounts that exist that validate that is also true. However, the Korean government said that publishing a paper that says that they were anything other than forced into it contradicts the Kono statement in 1993 that the Japanese government admitted that they were all forced, and it defames the surviving comfort women. So they have actually mandatorily prosecuted a history professor in South Korea for her research that contradicts the narrative that all comfort women were forced into it by the Japanese Empire. And again, so we're rushing to settle this issue, and I'd really like this issue to get settled, and I'd really like to be, put it behind. But again, if you're going to put people in jail who disagree with a view that, frankly, is kind of that is just nuanced, and from a history professor doing her job, again, this is kind of depressing to me. But it's interesting to read. It's interesting to read why she's being prosecuted there. So yes, shut up, John. Oh, wait a minute, there is that there. Well, Takeshima wa Kankoku no Shida. Well, that's interesting because they would never call it. In a way, that's kind of ironic because they would never call it Takeshima to begin with. But it's all stupid stuff, frankly. There are a couple of wrongs. They're the lion courts. Just call them the lion courts and blow them up, frankly. Yeah. So here's a good one from a guy I have actually interacted with. Have I met? I don't think I've met, but I quite like this writer, Liam Carrigan on Gaijin Pop. He writes good stuff, and I really like this. 5 things that he's learned from the last year of being in Japan. This, I think, second year into Japan, and these are good observations, I thought. So, first thing is very true. Japanese are much funnier sense of humor than you may think. Tell some good stories there, which I will say. You should go read this yourself, but I think it's true. Japanese actually do, they keep it to themselves because they do worry about offending people, but they do actually have quite good sense of humor. The youth of Japan are not as politically apathetic as they may seem, which I think is also sort of true, although especially in the last year they've become very prominent. Japanese movies are awesome. I completely disagree. I think that's wrong. I think that this person is possibly taking illegal substances because there's no way that could ever... the right word for series is a witch pot. You just remembered the word. I'm sorry to hear about that, but yes. Content size having Republican D. Focus. I have to focus. Japanese movies suck. There are a couple of good ones, but they're so rare and hard to find. I'm glad you found some good ones that you like, dude, but you are wrong about Japanese movies. Video games are a great way to learn Japanese and practice Japanese. Well, they must have gotten a lot better. I mean, again, there was a great... article from back in the day. You could always tell the video gamers in Japanese class because they're asking what the word for crystal tiara is. Yeah, they've probably gotten better. Games have gotten better. And yes, and there's still so much about this wonderful country that he doesn't understand. I've been here 16 years and I'm still the same. But I think there are some very good observations, and Liam Carrigan is a very good writer. So go check out Liam Carrigan from Gaijin Pot and read his stuff because he is actually a very good writer. Boom. Being maybe... Okay, I'll leave that. I'm going to stay focused. 10 more minutes, actually, and I want to play a tune because I got some skills to show off, so yes. 9 ways Tokyo could become more foreigner-friendly. I think this article is like 2 years out of date. 2 years ago, this was definitely all valid. Now it's become less valid. A public ban in smoking ban in public spaces. In Tokyo, everywhere, it's illegal to smoke in public, or at least walking around, which is like way stricter, actually, than even a lot of places in Europe now, where you're forced to smoke outside. Japan actually banned it outside first, and they're enforcing it, so it's not perfect, but it's getting better. More free Wi-Fi. Have you, again, I think this is 2 years out of date, there's like, suddenly now there's free Wi-Fi everywhere, and the government's been pushing the telecommunication carriers to provide it. It's getting better, but later running trains. This has been a debate for years, and apparently it's for safety reasons. Well, 2 reasons: noise and safety. They actually have to do the track inspections overnight, and the reason they can have trains run all night in America is because they actually run double tracks on everything, so they can inspect the tracks for one day when the trains aren't running on them, and then switch the tracks so they can do it the other time. In Tokyo, all of the subways run on single track systems, which means on very exceptional circumstances, like around New Year's a few years ago, they experimented with 24-hour trains, like just for a week, and with sometimes like 1 hour between 3 and 4 o'clock and so on. So they would still do some inspections, but it's tough. It's tough. There's a good reason for that, even though I wish that were true. Credit cards, accepting them more often. It's gotten a lot better. I mean, a lot better just in the last year or two. And again, there's been how many news stories about the government wants banks to accept more foreign credit cards and stuff like that. This is improving. Very much needed to be said 2 years ago. It's getting better. Listing allergens on the menus. Well, again, Japanese menus do, and multilingual, sure, but again, coming and complaining that everything isn't in English is kind of uncool. Restaurants should be open up if you want more foreigners to come to your restaurant and the Olympics. Yeah, you should definitely put the list of allergens. I would suggest put them in Chinese first, because there are many more Chinese coming here than English. English isn't going to fix everything, but yes, why not? I mean, it's always great. More rental bicycles. Again, in the last 2 years, there have been Docomo and a bunch of people have been setting up rental bicycles as an experiment everywhere, with mixed results. I guess partly because people already have their own bicycles and their own routine using them. I agree, this is something I think that could get very big. It's kind of been off to a kind of a lukewarm start, frankly, but they're doing it. And the signage in stations, again, it's improved like astronomically from even a few years ago. So you can always improve, but I think this list is kind of unfair in some respects, and at least there's been a lot of progress made in the areas that this highlights. Evie learned. But that said, I mean, still valid points and still areas that need work. But yeah, that's kind of true. These guys, I actually mentioned this last week. What's the name again? Langley Esquire, I think. They make Tokyo on Fire, which is a dedicated, very professional, very polished news show like this, except they're actually much more organized and professional and smart. And that guy Michael Kuchek is very, very good. I just looked at this and this reminded me, just for their posture alone. Their posture is excellent. They stand they sit there with like very straight backs, which is I think very important for this genre of the internet. Hardly anyone watches their videos, and they make the best news content out there. And granted, I mean, they're a bit of they look like a bit of a PBS cable program at the moment. Very good, but sure, they're not throwing whiskies around and saying fuck, but not all of YouTube has to be that. I think this is really good content, and they're worth following and subscribing to. YouTube is now backing fair use lawsuits. That's good to see. That's an Instagram. That is a track that I made that I'm going to try to improve on. Harajuku Beat Glider. The lasers are from YouTube FanFest that I went to this week, and that was kind of awesome. Running out of time here. So this is an interesting thing. Apparently, talking here about Philippines, people are massive YouTube watchers. Latin America, they're massive YouTube watchers. In Japan, people are limited to about the access to the audiences that they get by the language issue. So YouTube is actually now offering translation tools, including professional translation to get subs and everything onto your videos. This is cool, although this isn't really so much for the normal video blogger, more for sort of MCNs and professional content. But I mean, it's affordable if you want to do it. If you've got a really good video and you want professional subtitles, I mean, they're offering a service to do that. But when I was talking with the beautiful people at Google this week after FanFest, I was invited backstage. I got to meet Chris Pepler. I was hanging out with Charla, Miranda Ibanez, first time meeting her actually, and Dave Powell and some other very cool people from YouTube. And I talked with a few of the staff there. It was mentioned to me that there are more translation things coming out, more multilingual things coming out, including, I mean, from what I could gather, and don't quote me on this, but something about like if you're browsing in English, everything will look English, but you can make it'll come up pretty soon. I think they're playing around. Well, this may or may not happen. I guess they're playing around with the idea of an interface where it will. No, that is not a reference to the Tokyo firebombing. Where if you're browsing in Japanese and you provide multilingual like video information and stuff like that, the Japanese information will all show up for the Japanese, the English will all show up for the English, subtitles will come on automatically for the right language. But I've heard something exciting that we may even be able to do like dubbed sound, which would be kind of cool for me because I want to do Japanese and English and Japanese. I could do a show like this. I could just come back afterwards like with a microphone and like dub myself. Be like a Bruce Lee film in Japanese. If I could do that, that would just be like cool. And that never even, well, it did occur to me actually before, but I never thought that YouTube would do that. But apparently, well, I don't know, I heard a rumor that it's one of the ideas that's getting tossed around, and if it happens, that would be like phenomenal. But we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, but this is a great step, and what I'm told is that it's going to be the first of many steps to make YouTube more multilingual and more accessible, which being in a place like Japan, that's what we want. So that is like really, really awesome. And again, YouTube is kicking ass. I mean, I think they've really tightened up their game lately with the features. They're a lot more polished, a lot more stable what they roll out. So I think that is all good. Ben Duncan, I am surrounded by, well, if everyone compared to me is beautiful, right? So I'm representative of the Fugly Union. So this is all that I can say. If I'm hanging out with more fugly people, I mean, no, and beauty is not a superficial thing either. By the way, it's these are good people. Volvo is going to have these cars which will eliminate all traffic deaths. Yes, I want that because I just want to do karaoke and sleep and play video games in cars. So that is awesome. FanFest was it was cool. Actually, some of the acts in it were awesome. But we are short on time. Good article there on why American chefs are obsessed with Japanese food, and there's some actually good points there, including like why are they obsessed with it? Because even like my favorite point here is that yes, the craftsmanship is real. It's very specialized. Less is more. That is all true. There's no such thing as a bad meal. That's the point I think is really good from this. Even the convenience store food is like, it's really hard to find bad food. There is actually a shop by the main highway in Yamanashi if you go out of Tokyo, a big ramen shop with a huge sign saying that they have the Nihon no Ichiban Mazui ramen, the worst tasting ramen in Japan. The car park is always full. I had a friend who went there. I asked him, so you went there? And like, yeah, I saw the sign. I had to try it. And how was it? And I was like, yeah, it was terrible. But it's like, Japan, bad food is so rare. You can actually advertise and fill up your restaurant by advertising that you have bad food. And people want to try it. So yes, that is very, very true. This, oh man, see, we're running out of time and already. I mean, the Virginia mayor that cites World War II Japanese internment camps as a positive precedent for handling of Syrian refugees. Seriously, what is wrong with people that he's actually suggesting setting up concentration camps? And remember, all of these Paris attackers, all of them were French or Belgian, but none of them were Syrian. Some of them had been to Syria to go and learn how to fight and came back. One of them came back through Greece apparently, but these dicks were all French. They weren't refugees. So again, and which comes back to, yes, Obama is totally right here. Offensive and hysterical. Yes, the 30 American governors who don't want to accept Syrian refugees as a result of the Paris attacks, complete unconscionable, immoral cowards. And that's pretty much what Obama called them, and damn straight. And these Republicans who are talking, and it's predominantly the Republicans who are talking tough on not accepting refugees. Again, I come from refugee heritage of people who similarly walked across Europe to get out. And, again, over 100 years ago now, way before World War I or World War II, but similar circumstances to the people leaving now. And we've been pretty good. We've been good citizens where we've been to. America is founded by refugees, by people fleeing religious persecution and, all this sort of crap. It's just, it's kind of sad. And good on President Obama for trashing them. He uses some really strong words as well. Which I like. I mean, seriously, it's good to see at least the president has his head screwed on straight about this issue, because it's kind of we are not well served when in response to a terrorist attack we descend into fear and panic, which is what those guys are doing. We don't make good decisions if it's based on hysteria or exaggeration of risks. Yes. When an individual says we should have a religious test and they're only Christians, proving Christians should be admitted, that's offensive. It is. I cannot think of a more potent recruitment tool for ISIS, apart from the fact that they're just dicks anyway. I mean, yeah, exactly. These people are actually recruiting for ISIS by this stupidity. So, I mean, nice one, Mr. Obama. I'm completely with you. And something here linking again. The opinions about Syrian refugees now are the same as about Jewish refugees in World War II. America could have saved, in England and all of Western Europe could have. There was a chance to rescue more Jews, before World War II. I talked about this last week, how the Ministry of Health has found that more than 50% of women are subject to maternity harassment. They're put under pressure to quit their jobs when they become pregnant. And this is something where the ministry has now announced it's going to introduce mandatory measures to punish companies that do that now, partly because RB and the economy have done the math and they've figured out they need to have more workers. There aren't enough young people coming through. They need to, it needs to be forced companies to change the way that they work to keep women in the workforce. It's not just out of wanting to be nice to women. It's actually, the Ministry of Finance needs double income earning homes. And I guess they're trying to coerce the society into changing to adapt to them. But the result is that, yes, they're going to be punishing scumbags who do that. Singapore Airport. I want to go to Singapore Airport right now because I can sit inside a real-sized X-Wing fighter and take a photo. I would love to go to Singapore. I mean, Singapore Airport, for a start, is the best airport in the world. And Singapore Airlines is the best airline in the world. But on top of all of that, I mean, I'd go out of my way to go to Singapore anyway. Plus, my stepmother lives there. My dad lives there sometimes. But you can sit inside a freaking X-Wing fighter. Oh my god, is there like any other reason to go anywhere else? Guys, keep it friendly in the comments. I'm not totally keeping up with everything, but don't please. If there's a theme for tonight, it's don't be dicks. So please don't be dicks. 10 factors that make Japan a safe country. There was actually a comment here. Okay, 80. In fact, I know there's a lot of spare people for security guards. Some of this is actually kind of presumptive. Like, for example, low tolerance for drugs. Yeah, but at the same time, not all drugs necessarily cause danger or something like that. Zero tolerance for drinking and driving. I don't know about that either. I think Japan, one thing that shocked me was I thought Japan was very tolerant of drink driving when I first got here. Koban, the word is, see, that looks like an R. I know that Sadiq was asking about this in the beginning. It's Koban. It looks like Koran, and maybe having a bunch of police Koran boxes might be good as well. It could keep people in line, teach them good morality and good be decent to each other and so on. But no, those are actually koban, and they are everywhere, police boxes, and that helps. Zoning and limited immigration policy, I don't know that you can exactly say that. You could say that they have tightly integrated communities, but there's no reason that having immigrants in those communities necessarily make, it's a challenge to having tightly integrated communities. But simply saying that immigration per se worsens crime is a little bit offensive. As an immigrant myself, Miss Amy Chavez, that name rings a bell, by the way. Is that just a really common name, perhaps? But anyway, so apart from the slightly racist ending part, it's kind of a valid list. Non-BD store, I'm about to copy you. I'm way over time, actually, at the moment. There's a font with kanji, and it's for crayon, and it's a free font, so go download it. Live streaming setups, I would show you. Well, mine's very simple, actually. I'll show you my live streaming setup. Boom. My live streaming setup is, I got this little fella, that's the mic that you were listening to me talking on, that just went and just made a big noise. And that is my Microsoft webcam there on top of the monitor. I've got two lamps, one there and one there. This is like a super blindingly bright one. This is just a regular one. I've got two monitors. That is me looking at the screen, and those are the comments that I'm capturing on here on my capture software. That is my Wirecast software that I use to record this with every night, and that is the control window where I start and stop the recording, and that is just my face in the background, and that is my setup. It's not very exotic. I only have one HDMI connection, and that is why I would actually like to have a camera hooked up to HDMI and be shooting. I mean, the quality would just be a lot better if I could do it that way, but that's USB, and I use the HDMI to capture my Tokyo Tonight topics. So there you go. The camera, by the way, is what is it? It's a LifeCam HD. It's a Studio LifeCam Studio HD. It's just the top of the line Microsoft webcam, which is okay, but yeah, it's lately I'm getting a little bit annoyed by like the focus issues and the white balance issues and stuff like that. I just want it to be normal. And I think that is it. We are well over time. Oh yeah, and this is something I got for my birthday. I got this plugin, both of these plugins, Layer Monkey and Type Monkey. I want to make titles with these because titles are awesome, and even if it's possible, I want to make like subtitles using this. I've got to learn how to do it, and this will be my first proper use of After Effects, which I've had for a long time and I haven't used it properly, but that is awesome. I got those two things for myself, present to myself for my birthday, and I got this. This is a Withings Activité Pop, and it's basically like a Fitbit, except it's got a regular like analog clock on it, and it's got a dial every day for. By the way, Dan Scassa, since you were asking where was that font, the crayon font, the link for it is there on my Flipboard, which you can see on the web. There's a link below in the video information for the link for Flipboard on my web, or in the app itself. So anyway, I'll send the link to you later on, but all the links for everything here are in my Flipboard, which you can access via the web, and it's down on the video information. So this is cool. It's got a little dial which sort of indicates how close I am to doing, like, was it 10,000 steps or something like that, a target amount of steps every day, so I can track my amount of activity. And my watch, but the great thing is that while I had a little one of these before from the same maker, but you had to recharge it like every day, and it was kind of easy to lose or misplace or whatever. This is a watch, like a regular watch with a battery that lasts for 8 months, and it just syncs on its own through like Bluetooth with my phone, so it's actually really, really cool. That's right, I'm a monkey, and people say I monkey around, but I'm just too busy singing to bring anybody down. Hey, I'm a monkey, that's right. I've got those, and these look really, really cool, so I'm going to use that. That's right. Oh yeah, apparently the country needs basically to avoid like collapsing. They've got to have sales tax up to like 32% or something like that. Oh yeah, and the final thing I guess is Christine in Japan. If you saw her, I hope you saw 2.5 Oyajis last night. Where we got Christine in Japan on, and we she was awesome, and her channel is awesome. You're going to check her out. That's why we got her on, and we're going to get more new YouTubers onto 2.5 Oyajis, because that's part of what our original mission was. We got a little bit away from it lately. I've gone way over time, but I'm still going to play an outro track because I wasn't happy with my last track, the drum and bass beat glider track. So I am going to try to address that. I observed what my good man Non-BD Store was doing, and boom, and I want to do what he was doing. So I kind of queued up a track a bit similarly to what he did. So I guess I'm going to have the problem is I have to hold this like to shoot down at the same time, so it means I've only got one hand. But I'll show you this thing anyway. I'm going to play this as my outro, and that's going to be it anyway, because it is late. And Christina Schubas, wasn't she awesome last night? She is awesome. So look at this. I queued up a lot of these fellas. And okay, can you hear that goodness? That looks like you can. Is that really track 1? Okay, let's just kick it. I'll record this later. That's the track. Well, what are you reckon? So I went a bit over time tonight, but I like how that came out. Actually, that came out kind of cool, don't you think? So I kind of set that up. Actually, that came out better than I thought it was when I was setting it up, because I thought I had to play around with it with some more. But you know, I can do it. The big shout out to Nonbiri Store there, because Nonbiri Store kind of Yeah, I always knew you could actually set up like different sort of sections like that. By the way, this is an iPhone 6, just a small one, and not the S, but it's a nice phone. And this, by the way, is a mini. But yeah. Anyway, that came out kind of nice, and it's really nice to be able to take inspiration from my fellow Tokyo Digital crew members there, not like Nonbity Store and so on. And I can see what they do and learn from them. He actually was doing something more than that. He was not just doing the sections, but he was also changing the key, which I think was also really cool and something else that I kind of want to look at doing. Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? Learning off each other how to do stuff. So I'll probably do a recorded version of that and re-upload that, as that's going to be the real Harajuku beat glider right there. That is beat glider. The track the other day was kind of crap. Someone commented it sounded like it was built. I think Kazekawa said it sounded like it was building up to something but never went there. Now it goes somewhere, so it's a little bit better. I'm happy with that. Yeah, and doesn't it look so much better with the phone than with the webcam? I look at this and I just think, well, why am I using a webcam? Isn't this so much better? So I should just do the whole show like this, except this is also an HDMI. This is on a much higher quality capture. I guess that's the other reason. Anyway, that is the end of the show. It is, oh, sorry, I've gone like 1 hour 15 minutes. It's gone long tonight, but there's been a lot to talk about. It's been great to see all of you guys. I can't wait to watch the show back and see all the comments, because I know I miss half of the really interesting stuff that happens there. Thank you always for coming in. And good to see you guys. Nice to see Ellen Dick and Tom Vanilla and some other unfamiliar names there, but welcome, and see you guys again next week, as I'm here every week for Tokyo Tonight, every Sunday night, 11 p.m. Japan Standard Time. And don't forget to catch me on 2.5 Oyajis with Victor. Well, I think we're going to be getting Amadofu on next week, and that's going to be pretty cool as well. Plus, look out for my new series of topics, actually decided in the comments by you guys, with Rochelle Kopp. That's coming up, and if you want to help me do green screen backgrounds for behind the sofas or floor, I'm open to suggestions. I'm going to spend about another week or two editing that, but there are 8 awesome episodes of Japan Business Time coming up soon, so lots to look forward to. Awesome talking to you guys, and have a good week, and see you later. See you next week. Peace. So turn this thing off now. Here we go. Let's do the action finale here. There it is. See? There we go. More threads. That's what we need. More threads. Boom. Stop that stuff now.